Number 1. Hey everyone, my name is Jacob. I am not usually one to believe in creepy stuff, but something happened to me recently that I cannot explain. It's changed my beliefs. Let me tell you about it. I am an accountant, so my days are usually spent crunching numbers in an office corner. Last weekend, I decided I need a break from the city grind. I packed up my tent and some food and headed out to a remote forest for a solo camping few miles from my home. The woods were dense and quiet, with only the rustling of leaves beneath my foot and the occasional bird songs that breaking the silence in the forest. The day one was pretty good. I hiked for a few miles and came back to my camp, prepared some food over the campfire I set. The first day passed very quietly and peacefully. But on the second night of my trip, things took a dark turn. I had just finished dinner and was sitting by the fire, enjoying the crackling warmth, when I heard a strange noise. It was like a mixture between growl and a whisper, coming from somewhere deeper into the woods. At first, I brushed it off. I thought maybe some animals searching for food or something like that, and I was deeper in the woods, so the occasional sounds are quite natural. But then I heard it again, closer this time. I grabbed my flashlight from my backpack and cautiously walked towards where I thought the sound was coming before. The tree seemed to close in around me, casting an eerie shadow in the moonlight. That's when I saw it. A figure, tall and immaculate, standing among the trees. Its eyes gleamed in the darkness, reflecting the light from the flashlight. My heart raced as I tried to make sense of what I was seeing before me, what was standing there, and what I was witnessing. I froze, unsure of what to do. The figure didn't move, just stared at me with those glowing eyes. Suddenly, it let out a bone-chilling scream that echoed through the entire forest. It sounded inhuman, like a mixture of agony and rage. I stumbled backwards, tripping over a tree root and falling to the ground, face first. As I scrambled to get back on my feet, I heard the figure crashing through the underbrush towards me. Panic set in as I ran blindly through the forest, branches whipping against my face and thorns tearing at my clothes. I could hear it behind me, its heavy footsteps getting closer with each passing second. It's gaining on me. I ran. I ran like I did never before in my life. I didn't know how long I ran, but eventually I burst into a small clearing and collapsed on the ground. Gasping for breath, the forest was silent again, and the only sound was my ragged breathing. I waited, terrified that the figure would find me again. But the minutes passed with no sign of it. I looked around the forest, fear gripping over my heart. Eventually, I gathered enough courage to slowly make my way back to my campsite. I packed up my things as quickly as I could when I reached there and practically sprinted back to my car. The drive home was a blur, my mind racing what I had seen. Since that day, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that something supernatural happened out there in the woods. I have read about legends of Wendigo, creature from a folklore said to be cursed humans driven mad by greed or hunger. I never believed in such things before, but now I'm not so sure. I don't know what I encountered that night, and I am not sure I ever will. All I know is that I have become a believer in the unknown, and I will never forget the terror I felt in those woods. So, guys, if you ever going for a camping or hiking, whether you are a believer or not, be careful out there. You will never know what lurking in those dark shadows. Hello guys, if you like this kind of videos and want to hear more, consider subscribing to this channel, and also check out other videos on this channel too. Like them, share them. Now, back to the story. Number 2. Hey folks, John here. I have a wild experience that happened to me to share here. It was few years back. I love to go camping and solo hiking. I used to go whenever I get free time, and this happened on such a camping few years ago. I have always been a skeptic when it comes to creepy ghost stories and other folklores. But after what happened that night, I can't deny the existence of things beyond our understanding. Let me share my experience. As a painter, I often find inspiration in the nature. So, I decided to go camping and hiking often. I decided to take a painting trip to a secluded forest. The air was crisp, the trees towering overhead, and I felt a sense of peace as I set up my easel and started to work. It was on the third night of my stay that things got strange. I had just finished a painting of a serene lake when I heard a noise that made my blood run cold. It was a low, menacing growl, unlike any animal sound I ever heard before. I peered into the darkness, trying to make sense of it, but the forest remained completely still. Shrugging it off as my imagination, I packed up my gear and started to head back to my campsite. That's when I heard it again, closer this time. It sent shivers down my spine, and I instinctively reached for my flashlight clipped on my belt. As I scanned the trees, I got a glimpse of movement along the trees. A tall, gowned figure standing among the shadows, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light, and I felt a chill through my bones, and I realized it was staring at me. Fear gripped me as I stumbled backwards, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure let out a haunting wail that seemed to echo all around there and filling me with dread. Without thinking, I turned and ran as fast as I can. As I sprinted through the underbrush, I could hear the figure crashing through the trees behind me, its footsteps gaining on me with each second. Panic set in as I pushed myself harder and harder, desperate to escape whatever horror was pursuing me. Finally, minutes, maybe half an hour of running, I bursted into a small patched area and lay down on the ground, breathing heavily. The forest fell silent again around me, and I strained to listen for any signs of the creature, but there was nothing, just me and the silent forest. Slowly and casually, I gathered my courage and made my way back. When I reached the campsite, it was all wreck. Something has gone through the campsite, destroying my stuffs. Without wasting any time, I packed up my belongings in a frenzy, not daring to look back into the darkness. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs made me jump along the way, convinced that the creature was still out there, watching and waiting for me. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing with questions. What had I seen in those woods? Could it be in a Wendigo, as some of the locals whispered about? I had always dismissed such stories as a folklore, but now I couldn't deny the possibility. Since that night, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that something supernatural crossed my path. I have been reading about Wendigos, cursed beings lurking in the wilderness. I never believed in such tales, but now I can help but wonder. Whatever it was that I encountered in those woods, it has changed me. I am no longer the skeptic once was. I now know that there are things in the woods that defy explanation, and I will never forget the terror I felt that night in the forest. Hope you guys like the stories. If you enjoy them, please consider subscribing to the channel. Check out my other videos, share them and like them. And if you have any suggestions, any improvements I need to make in this channel and my videos, post them in the comment section too. Press the bell icon and support me. So, till next time, it's Malayali Wendigo. Bye.